Welcome back, viewers. It's your very half-assed reporter, James Kalm, and I am coming to you from Red Hook, Brooklyn. This is a neighborhood that was decimated. This whole place was under about 3 or 4 feet of water during Hurricane Sandy, but it's come back. Now we're going to run into Peninsula Gallery. Take a little stroll through an exhibition titled Strange Form of Life, curated by Johnny Mullen. Well, I decided it was too miserable to pedal my bike into the Lower East Side, so I'm down in Red Hook, which is my neighborhood of Brooklyn, and I got an invitation to the show, I think, from E.J. Hauser, and so I decided to pop in and take a look. This is a piece by Gimli. And I know that Jim used to have a studio just around the corner from my loft, and he's a longtime resident of this neighborhood. He's an interesting guy, but he's also what I would call kind of a ironical formalist, a whimsical formalist. A lot of his work is dealing with the idea of what is the structure of a painting, what are stretcher bars, what are the picture plane, things like that. I initially looked at this and thought of Ron Gorchov, whose studio is probably about 5 blocks east of here. This is untitled, The Approach 2018, 44 by 34 inches. This is oil enamel on poster board with canvas, staples, and wood dowels. Okay, so, and a lot of times Jim will expose the structure of the support. He's got some footprints on here. So I don't know exactly what's behind there, but we do have this strip of canvas with the little dowels in there. I don't know what function they provide. And then this is all stapled together. This is the only sculpture in the show, I believe. It's by Lars Fisk. Trash Pail Ball, 2016, 30 inches in diameter. Bark and wood. I don't know, it looks like it's made out of metal to me. I think I covered a show by Lars that he had at Marlborough. Maybe go back 3 or 4 years in the rough cut of the Kalm report. So I was wondering if he chased this, and that's a process of kind of hammering your sheet metal into various kinds of forms. Beautifully crafted. It's a piece by E.J. Hauser. Titled Major Yours, 20 by 16 inches. Well, we've covered at least a couple of shows by E.J. and been in a couple of group shows, and we were kind of grouped together because E.J. has done a couple of series of works that were dealing with text. This is oil on canvas, 20 by 16. This is Magda Lipka. Badges from the Trail, 2018, 40 by 30 inches. Okay, I like her list of materials. Fabric dye, beeswax, wood felt, muslin thread, and polyfill. Kind of getting one of the senses of the theme of the show is, like I was saying about Jim, kind of questioning what a painting is, how you structure a painting, how you construct a painting, and it goes beyond just what happens on the picture plane. I think, well, I've covered Meg in a couple of group shows, I think, and also she had a show at Freight Volume, maybe a month or two ago. And she does a lot of work that's dealing with fabric and constructing things out of fabric, but yeah, she gets a great kind of a surface with this, I guess that's felt, kind of staining the felt. We'll go in the back room and look at a couple of smaller pieces. This is another piece by EJ. Year's Shield, 20 by 16, oil on canvas. Okay, this is pretty urgent. And this is just oil on canvas. Almost looks like she's drawing with an oil stick. And I asked her about her kind of digitized line, whether she was using some kind of Photoshop program to do that, but she said no, that she just did that with her kind of staccato brush strokes. This is a smaller piece by Matt Kleeberg. And it's titled Cream-Tipped Swamp Damsel, 2018, 20 by 16. This is oil and oil stick. I'm going to look at a larger piece that Matt's got back in the main gallery. Okay. It's another piece by Gimli, untitled The Rummage, 2018, 64 by 42 inches, enamel on linen and canvas with staples. Okay, well that's some nice canvas. I think that's could be white Belgian linen, or maybe not. Oh, he's got this sewed together, so that's probably a double weave cotton duck. Yeah. Okay, Jim is a connoisseur of his canvas and linens. And again, you know, he's got his shape stretcher. He's got his very basically stained canvas and linen stitched together. So that creates that line. It's a very elegant piece. This is Clare Grill Lake 2018, 44 by 34 inches. This is oil on linen. Yeah, and this also is really kind of stripped down staining. You can definitely see that Clare has left the texture and the absorbency of the linen come through, the way it's kind of sucking the oil out of the pigments mostly. And a nice limited palette, but there are kind of notations of floral forms, biomorphic forms. Okay, I gotta get over to the other end of the gallery to get this all in. This is Matt Kleeberg, Out of the Wilderness, Scaffold Askew 2018. This is 90 by 80. Oil and oil stick on canvas. Yeah, there's a very, what could I say, brusque, almost a kind of industrial approach to the paint surface here. We just use a roller or fat brushes and get the job done. I like the architectural composition. Snail by Clare Grill, 15 by 12 and a half. It's oil on linen. And we're gonna take our last looks at this piece. Graham Wilson, Drunk Text, oil twine and canvas. Well, when I initially drove by here and looked through the window, I thought this was a painting. Then as I came in and looked at it, I realized this was collage, or maybe you would call that a tapestry, because it's all sewn together. There might be some matte medium or gloss gel or something, and he's gluing this together with, but it's yeah, it's loose fabric, a lot of staining. This actually looks like maybe the drop cloths that someone might have in their studio that catches all the paint that slops off their projects. And this is 50 by 48 inches. And this again questions the whole idea of the picture plane. I guess the support surface people in France in the late 70s were playing with this kind of idea. This is James Kalm reporting on Strange Form of Life here at Peninsula, 552 Van Brunt Street, here in Red Hook. And now we're back in Bushwick. And we'll run into Honey Ramka. And take a little strolling tour of an exhibition by Nat Meade. Well, full disclosure, I was in an exhibition with Nat out of the Snyder Museum at the University of Southern Oregon about a year ago, curated by Scott Malburn. And, well, I saw Matt's work at the time, and I liked it. I'm impressed. This piece is titled Breeze, 2018. Oil on Hemp. This is 24 by 18. Well, one of the things that I enjoy with Nat's work is the surfaces. This is titled Headless, 2018, 20 by 24 inches. And, well, when I say the surfaces, I think what I'm talking about is actually the contrasts. Now, it says he's working on hemp, but yeah, if you look closely at his forms, there's kind of a line between the different planes of pigment, and there's kind of a nice little nubby quality. It's kind of maintained with the texture of the hemp. It's titled Cry Drops. Yeah, so we can sort of visually skim over some of these beautiful sections of scumbling. And yeah, I always appreciate being able to forensically dissect a painting, or at least a surface. This is titled Rushes. 2018, oil on linen. Well, this is 38 by 30 inches, so this is, for Nat, a lot larger than a lot of the work that I've seen. But, you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on under the surface, and I like the way that I think he probably starts out with developing his image with very thin washes and kind of drawing with a brush, and then just keeps building these up and kind of building the scumble up to the point where you actually end up sealing out the surface, and then you have these nice flat bodies of pigment. It's titled Gust 2018. It's 14 by 11. Let me read a little bit from the press release. The subject of these paintings are meant to be elevated and beatific, and at the same time buffoonish and absurd. In my childhood home was a woodcut of a bearded Walt Whitman. When I was a kid, this simple image with its triangular nose and series of dashes for the beard loomed large. It looked just like my dad, and in my head, the image was both God and Father, which at the time were the same thing. My work deals with this kind of elevated personage and its fragility. The scale of these pared down heads is small and unheroic, yet the status-like figures appear monumental. They are at once aspirational and dumb, specific and general. Okay, well, talked about the bearded Walt Whitman figure. Out of the cradle endlessly rocking. Out of the mockingbird's throat, the musical shuttle. Kind of like this. I think Nat's also got some kind of interesting visual parodies or almost surrealistic things happening. This is titled Gust 2018. And it says this is casein on hemp, 24 by 18. Well, that's interesting. I think one of the greatest painters of the 20th century, Balthus, ended up painting with some kind of casein or some strange water-based medium and pigment for the last batch of paintings he did, and they were beautiful and probably some of the best paintings of his career. So that's interesting to see Nat kind of working on this. This is Lost Meal, 2018 oil on hemp, 14 by 11. Yeah, so we don't know whether this is a head or some kind of sacred sculpture of some god. It does kind of relate to Walt Whitman. And this is Sipper. And both 14 by 11. And I like Nat's palette. And, well, in a very classic way, he's using the kind of a terracotta as a base color and building up and drawing his composition with that, and then layering on these lighter and darker tones. It's titled Headless, 2018 oil on linen, 16 by 20. You know, I think there's also some very nice, just abstract, formalistic elements. I think we've got this low horizon line and these blades of grass or buds rising up. That pays a lot of attention to his shadows as well, and they actually become another abstract element. And yeah, these little moles, pock marks on the head are kind of disturbing. Hi, Art. Art Guerrera.
Yes, I said nice painting.
Nice paintings. Thank you for your testimony, Art.
What's that?
Thanks for your testimony. Okay.
I like them. I like, they have a certain thickness.
Yeah, no, it's nice the way that the textures and
Texture.
the pigment are nice, and I like the edges of the form where you kind of see the nubbiness of the linens coming through. So this is titled Breeze, 2018. So oil on hemp. Well, joking about hemp. Nat is from Oregon. And so we know what's happening with hemp out there. I visited one of the dispensaries when I was there last fall. Oregon Diesel. This is James Kalm reporting on Nat Meade. Never learn not to cease to exist. Here at Honey Ramka, 56 Bogart Street. You can like this, share, subscribe, recommend it to your friends, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, critiques, criticisms, and suggestions below. And all that we ask is that you thank Kate. Yacobucci? Thanks, Yacobucci.
Thank you.